Bob and Sheri, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sheri.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
I don't care if Monday's blue. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Monday. Noon on Monday.
Monday morning, you sure look fine.
On Monday.
What are you doing home on a Monday?
Now, broadcasting from the Bob and Sheri studios, it's Bob and Sheri.
We've got a big show to kick off your work week for you today. Hey, everybody. We're going to start with this TikTok Grace Kelly trend. So many people are not on, so many adults are not on TikTok. And
right.
You know your kids, or if you have kids, you know they're obsessed with it. And you see stuff like on your social media and you're like, this TikTok, what is this TikTok? Well, whatever else TikTok is, it is the most perfect incubator for fast moving trends I've ever seen in my lifetime. It is amazing how quickly stuff blows up. And it's always the quirkiest, strangest thing. Like the Grace Kelly challenge right now is based on a song that was a big hit back in, what'd you tell me, Max? 2007,
2007,
right?
yeah.
A song called Grace Kelly. And the reason I think that it's probably blowing up on TikTok is that duets are huge on TikTok, like split screen duets. And this song really lends itself to that. And when you hear it, you'll probably remember when it was all over the radio. So in this particular TikTok challenge, Ryan Reynolds, who's the king of social media, and Will Ferrell kind of stepped in and dominated it. So before we play Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell singing, and I think you're going to be pretty impressed, I'll just remind you, this is what the original song, Grace Kelly, sounds like. And the singer is able to hit these crazy, crazy high notes, which very few people can do, right? So here is the very impressive, I thought, Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell.
I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like.
That's perfect for TikTok.
And that's Will Ferrell. That's Will Ferrell hitting those high notes.
Yeah.
Is that who was? I was wondering who was doing the falsetto. Was Will Ferrell?
Yeah, that was Will Ferrell doing the falsetto hang.
Violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like.
Wow,
pretty impressive,
that's pretty good.
Right?
And other people are doing it. It's the Grace Kelly challenge.
Yeah,
is what it's called.
Yeah, it's blown
I'd rather have
up.
that as a challenge than driving off a cliff. So that's a good thing there too.
If I ever want to watch all the life force drain from my husband, it's when he opens the family group chat and one of the kids has shared a TikTok video. He's like, "Oh, it's the tick tac. Woman, what is this?" And I'm just hit play. Oh, I hate this. He hates
Mary
emojis.
sends them all the time.
He hates TikTok videos. He hates all that.
Yeah, I didn't like them at all, but she's forced me to watch a lot of them. And some of these people are really talented. They're funny. There's some pretty good musicianship here and there. It's fun to watch. And I'm just going to be honest, the dog stuff that people post where the dog has torn up like a couch or something and looks so shamed. It's pretty good.
I think it's just so addictive. You want to talk about a time suck? Whatever you've been doing on your phone that you thought was sucking your time away, don't install TikTok because you'll lose whole hours to this app.
Remember the guy on the skateboard who was drinking the ocean spray?
Oh yeah, to Fleetwood Mac's dreams. Yep.
That guy bought like a $500,000 house off of the amount of money generated with that thing. That was pretty good.
Bless. Yeah, he's a happy man. All right, keep it here. We have comedian Kabir Singh coming up on the show. And what is turning your kids into bossy little monsters? Or is it? It's Bob and Sheri.
Sign up for the newsletter with Bob and Sheri exclusive articles. Sign up now at bobandsheri.com.
I found this article about hugely hyped things that completely flopped. Let's see how many you can remember. These are not just businesses or concepts that failed. These things were blown up all over media, and they just flopped. Here's the first one. People were posting this. I still remember 3D TVs were supposed to be the next technological leap. Even the World Cup was interested in broadcasting in 3D, and it never happened. Geraldo Rivera opening Al Capone's safe on live TV.
Oh, the
a
vault,
complete
yeah.
flop. It was totally empty. The 2018 Slender Man movie. Before it came out, it had like 92% interest. As soon as it came out, it got a 17 with Rotten Tomatoes. I very vaguely remember the Slender Man. Weren't there kids that were afraid there was actually a Slender Man out in the woods behind their house?
Oh, yeah. No, there was an actual...
Wasn't that a thing?
There was an actual murder that was committed by two teenage girls in the Midwest, right, Max, were involved in the Slender Man murder.
That's right.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah.
Yeah. Cats the movie, based on one of the longest running Broadway shows. Star-studded cast, should have been a hit. When people saw it, how did they blow the movie? But the play had been running for, like decades.
You know what? I'm so happy to say I never saw it because I was warned, and so I didn't waste my time. So I have no idea how they did.
I've watched parts of it on cable. It is truly jaw-dropping. I don't even know how to tell you. It's
Really?
bad. It's bad in all of the ways it can be bad.
Yeah. The Segway. Remember the Segway, the things? You see them once in a while around resort areas now. They were introduced by an expert on Good Morning America, said they would redesign cities by using Segways to stand on and steer around, what would be getting rid of cars. When's the last time you saw one?
There's a tour of people in the town where I live, and they all get together and they have a club, and they're all on Segways, and then they go, and I don't know, they look kind of goofy as you're going. Think Paul Blart.
The tour that Max is talking about, I saw that tour group go by on Segways not too long ago. That's the only time I've seen them lately.
You see them in resort areas and on cruise ships once in a while. I got on once. I think you and I were together on a cruise ship, and I got on it and I was riding it around. And it's a little bit more difficult than it looks. This one guy posted, my teacher hyped up a pizza party all year long. I was looking so forward to the pizza party. And then he took a shot of the pizza slice that he got, and it's thin. It's one little thin piece of pizza with one pepperoni on it. How disappointing. These are hugely hyped things that completely flopped. The Fry Festival. Have you ever seen that movie on that Fry Festival, which took place, I think, in the Caribbean, and it was an utter disaster financially? Google Glasses. You and I were talking about Google Glasses as the next big thing, and I kept saying, something's going to show up. I'm going to read something in my glasses as I'm driving along. How could that really be safe? Have you ever known anybody who had Google Glasses?
There was a guy 2-3 companies back. One of the executives showed up at the station, and our former boss brought him in and was like, you see what he's wearing? He's got the Google Glasses. And the guy was like, yeah, I got the Google Glasses. And I was like, are they cool? And he goes, yeah, not really. What was that? But did I imagine that Facebook is coming out with their own version of like Facebook Ray-Bans that have some kind of similar vibe? Did I imagine that?
Please tell me that you did.
Here's all I think
it.
about when you say Ray-Ban. Spam pictures on people's accounts that have been hacked. And that it say Ray-Ban glasses, I don't know, something % off. That's all I think about when you say Ray-Ban.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
My Twitter
yeah.
DMs are always filled. My Twitter DMs are Ray-Ban glasses half off. My Instagram DMs are crypto trading. It's tiresome. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. These are things that were completely hyped and completely flopped. Do you remember the David Copperfield special where he, quote, made the Statue of Liberty disappear?
Oh, yeah.
What a bunch of garbage that was. Good Lord. And that's pretty much it. Some things, Crystal Pepsi. That was a big hype in it.
The McDLT didn't make the list.
God,
Not this one. It should have.
It should have, yeah.
It should have, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, straight ahead, we've got Morons in the News coming up. We have comedian Kabir Singh, and we have the ultimate perfume for single people. It's all straight ahead. It's Bob and Sheri.
We've got him.
Morons.
With Bob and Sheri.
He's a moron.
It's Morons in the News.
Sometimes out of the blue, just something crazy happens. This is from Plantation, Florida. A South Florida driver's attempt at getting some delicious Sunday morning donuts took a turn for the worse. The driver decided to back his car up into the drive-through lane, and he went crashing through a window. It was at the Dunkin' Donuts in Plantation. Customers later arriving were not happy to see the restaurant was closed. Quote, "I think it's reckless, and as a result, I now have to find another Dunkin', and I got to be at work in 20 minutes, said donut lover Rob Knish. The crash happened at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the man who was driving is Hezekiah Orowale. That's his name, Hezekiah Orowale. Quote,
I love it.
"It was a freak accident," said Hezekiah. "I'm shocked at the way it happened." Hezekiah went on Local 10 News with the wonderful Madeline Wright and said he had just picked up a dozen assorted donuts at the drive-thru for his fellow church members. But as he pulled away, he realized the cashier forgot to give him a bag to carry them in. Instead of driving around the whole building to get into the drive-thru, he said, "I'm just going to throw it in reverse." But because of the awkward angle, he misjudged the distance to the building. Back to his quote, "I just reversed for a second, bam! I had the glass door shatter. I heard it. I heard screaming inside." Nobody was hurt in the crash. His car sustained minor damage, but the Dunkin' Donuts would remain closed until a technician could fix the glass. "Absolutely, very, very sorry about all this," Orowale said. "It is what it is. I feel terrible."
I love that. It is what it is.
Well,
It is what it is.
he's right.
Yeah.
Today's moron of the day is going out to everyone that went out on a date this past weekend and had an awful time. If you think your date was a disaster, listen to what happened to Ivana Kadavid. She's from New Jersey. She went on a date with a guy she met on Instagram. And the date was so bad. He'd been asking her out for days and days and days. She finally agreed, and they met up for dinner. First, they met at a gas station, and she brought along her 2 French bulldogs, Louis and Leo. So she Louis and Leo get out of her car at the BP, and they get into his car, and they drive to Manhattan for dinner. When Ivana got out of the car to let one of the dogs use the bathroom, the man drove off with her other dog, purse, and belongings. That's right. He stole her purse and he stole her dog. And then he blocked her on Instagram, and he still hasn't given her dog back yet.
Are you kidding me? That is the meanest thing.
No.
That is so mean.
Those little Frenchies have never been separated. So Louis and Leo were missing each other. Y'all, he stole her dog. You have to be so careful about going out with strangers. We're going to post this story up on our Facebook. Police are looking for a thin man with long hair and face tattoos. I find the face tattoos make it easier to spot.
I think so.
That'll be on the Bob and Sheri Facebook.
He took her dog.
He took her dog,
I mean,
y'all.
your purse is
That
one
is so
thing.
mean.
All right, fine. You wanted money. All right, fine. But what do you do with with the dog.
That is so mean. No. Even if it's a cool dog, it ain't yours. My God, her heart is broken. I hope she gets him back. All right, there it is. Morons in the news.
Dog napper. It's Bob and Sheri. True crime time. Gather round, fellow true crime fans. Max and I are obsessed with a couple of podcasts by a guy named Sean Kipe, In the Red Clay, and his new one, Fox Hunter.
What would you do if your only child was murdered?
Rhonda Sue Coleman never made it home from a social event for her high school.
There was some underage drinking going on.
I could feel it in my soul. Somebody had gotten her. Something was seriously wrong.
Short time later, her car was found abandoned on this dirt road. The motor was running, a door was open, and her purse was inside.
Her body was discovered Sunday, 4 days after she disappeared. Now sources tell us someone tried to burn the body before leaving it in the woods.
What would you do if you spent 30 years looking for answers?
Some people say they know who did it, but the cops can't prove it without a shadow of a doubt.
If the investigation was botched?
They were fixing to call it off and go home.
If the evidence was gone?
Some information was taken to the grave with a man, but the evidence, if there was any, was destroyed.
What if you couldn't trust the police?
He said, the DA wants me to tell you, she don't like what you're doing.
Or your neighbors?
She said, Gary, there's another side of him you don't know.
What if the suspects walked the streets of your town?
He said he would get the bitch back.
And he had taken a pair of scissors and threatened to kill a girl after that. All in all, they said, he's the guy.
Let's start with the story of Rhonda Sue Coleman, who, by all accounts, was a universally well-liked, popular, beautiful, bubbly teenager in the small town of Hazelhurst, Georgia, a girl with her whole future laid out in front of her, seemingly not an enemy, no drama, no conflict, who one night disappears from her small town. Sean Kipes, let's talk about Rhonda Sue Coleman.
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. This story, yeah, and you just nailed it. It's the most unlikely murder, small town, girl had no enemies that an 18-year-old wouldn't normally have, 31 years later, no answers. There's a few suspects that people have always kind of said, we know this person or that person did it, or these people were involved together. But there's no proof, but we have all kinds of circumstantial evidence, and it really, I think it's caused a lot of frustration in this community for such a long time that this podcast is now kind of brought boiling to the surface.
So for those who haven't yet listened to Fox Hunter, take us back to that night when Rhonda Sue Coleman left a group. It was a party at a classmate's house. They were painting senior flags. They were right on the eve of graduating high school. Take us back to what happened that night when Rhonda left that high school party.
What we know is that she went to the party with a few friends, and those friends dropped her off somewhere between 10 and 10:30 that night at the little convenience store where she left her car. And this was kind of a meeting place for the teens. They'd kind of stop and go there throughout the night. And she headed for home, and her car was found maybe 11:15 that night. And driver's side door wide open, car was running, headlights on, and Rhonda's purse was on the passenger side seat. And she was just, nowhere to be found. A massive search went underway through the entire county. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people in the community searched for her over the next 3 days, and she was her body was found in a neighboring county 3 days later. And it was 30 years now of trying to piece together what happened in that very short window of time. And you're talking like a half hour between the last time she was seen and the time that her car was found. So that's kind of where we are, is trying to piece together what happened there and who did it.
It was all of a piece for me in Fox Hunter. The people kind of knowing something but not really wanting to come forward. And again, those webs of relationships. And I'm sure that as you went through your talking to the townspeople and retired law enforcement, I'm sure you too found yourself coming up against over and over again this whole, well, I heard, but I didn't know if it was true, so I didn't really say anything at the time.
People are starting to come out and say, I'm taking calls almost daily at this point, with somebody saying, I have never told anybody this. I've wanted to. My husband told me not to get involved because we didn't want to have, somebody mess with us. And you hear a lot of that stuff. Or, I told my buddy, or I kind of offhandedly told a cop, but I don't know if they did anything with it. I hear that a lot now, and I think that people are more willing now to come forward because there's so much buzz around it. And you have this strength in numbers vibe where it's like, I hear on the podcast that so-and-so came forward with this account and they're still alive. Like, nobody messed with them. Maybe I should tell what I know too and get it off my chest.
Does that give you some hope that as a result of this fresh attention and kind of shaking these old bushes, that there's a possibility that there will be justice for Rhonda Sue Coleman?
I absolutely believe that there will be.
You do?
To some degree. I mean, I don't know if we'll have somebody in handcuffs by the end of the podcast. You know what I mean? I think some people expected that when episode 10 came out, it was like, there's an arrest made. And I wish that was the case. But I do know that the GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, has been listening along to the podcast. And from what I'm told, has started re-interviewing people and interviewing new eyewitnesses. So I think, I've got some hope there that I think just also with the public outcry and the buzz that's going on around this, I feel like law enforcement is a little having their arm twisted into, well, we have to reinvestigate this case from the top.
For more of our conversation with Sean Kipe and a deep dive in the Dixie Mafia, check out this Friday's episode of the Bob and Sheri Oddcast. You can find it at bobandsheri.com, Spotify, the Apple app, and anywhere you get a podcast. You will be hooked. Coming up next, we have comedian Kabir Singh and is Alexa turning your kid into a tyrant? It's Bob and Sheri.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet it can be hard work sometimes. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico.
Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. And it's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Just go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com. That's geico.com.
Work out your stress and get back to feeling great at Planet Fitness. Join the judgment-free zone today for $10 a month and get tons of cardio and strength equipment in our clean and spacious clubs. With free fitness training and plenty of room to move, you can go at your own pace and get back to a routine that works for you. All for just $10 a month. Plus, check out the crowd meter in our free PF app for the best time to visit. Don't wait. Join any of our 2,000 plus locations today. In club, online, or on the app. See club for details.
Bob and Sheri, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sheri.
And welcome back in the Bob and Sheri Show, currently the only business in America not hiring. So the house here is just Mary and me, the cat and the dog, because her kids are off to college. At least one of them is. The other one just got her first full job, big job, and is doing very well. So it's just us, and, we both work and everything, but there's still a lot of hours in the week. And Mary is somebody that has to have something going on all the time. Either she likes to meet new people, which we've been doing, which I can't get enough of. And she likes to go places and see if there's a new restaurant we haven't tried and so on. And around the house, because we haven't been in this house that long, she's sort of making changes. She redid the laundry area, painted the cabinets, took them off, just going crazy. And she decided to turn her sights on the guest bathroom. We have a little guest bathroom. It's a couple of little small holes from pictures the former people that owned the house had. And I thought, well, she's just going to patch that and paint it, right? No, she saw something in a magazine and she went out and got some wood slats. And I said, what's that? And she said, I'm going to do like a little lattice work against the wall in here. I mean, I said, you're going to grow stuff, you know? And she said, no, it's decorative. It just, and she's measuring it. And, you know, I mean, it's not really necessary. It is strictly visual. And I said, wow, that's a lot of work for that. And she said, I'm bored. I'm kind of bored right now. She doesn't like going to the movies or anything. She's, you know, how much TikTok can you do? Probably no more than 7 to 10 hours a day. So I said, you're bored. And then I said, hey, you know, rather than doing that, if you're bored, why not do some yard work? You know, kind of get outside and maybe, you know, help me out with some yard work.
You are this close to, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean.
So she said, nah, I don't think so. And this has been kind of a running gag. I mean, let me just say that she does a lot in the house. She does all of the cooking. I do a lot of the cleaning. She does some of the cleaning too. And
nobody's coming for
yard
her.
work.
Nobody's coming for her. She's just not doing any yard work. Completely
She's
relatable.
Not.
Completely.
You know, I picked this up a long time ago. When we were in the other house, there were 2 women, and it was a big neighborhood, and they were getting up there age-wise. They were probably in their late 70s, I would guess. And I would drive by once in a while, and they're out on their hands and knees, 2 different houses, picking up sticks, digging in the dirt, replanting stuff, pushing a push lawnmower. And if she were in the car this is so sinister as a married person. If she were in the car with me and I would spot one of those ladies, I'd slow right down. I would slow right down and just roll by them. This old woman pushing a power lawnmower over the grass and the bumps. And I just go, oh, wow, there she is again. and Mary would just look straight ahead. She wants nothing to do with anything that has to do with the outside of a house. Zero.
Kevin occasionally invites me. I'll be like, oh, I'm so tired of being in this house. And he'll be like, would you like to help me move rocks?
Wow, you make it sound like so much fun.
As soon as he says that,
he's got to sell it better.
The chorus to I Fought the Law and the Law Won hits my head, because isn't that what they're doing? Busting rocks.
Busting rocks in the hot sun.
Yeah.
I fought the Kevin, and the Kevin won't win.
So I was like, why rocks got to move? Why can't rocks be where God put them? And he's like, I'm terraforming, like we're Martian colonists over here. So yeah, I'm with Mary. I do enough inside. I don't want to go out and move rocks and get bitten by things.
No, well, I mean, it's just a way for me to point out that I do these things, because sometimes I'm out there sweating in the summer and I'm digging up, you know, a dead tree, or, you know, cleaning something out of the gutters or whatever it is. And it's referred to as one of Bob's things. Bob does not want, look what I do for a living. You think I really want to sweat and do manual labor? No, of course not. But somebody's got to do it. Or the gutters will overflow and, you know, the house will rot. So that's why I try to entice her to come on out here. Yeah. Maybe you could just hold the ladder.
What you're really doing, because I do this too, what you're really doing is pretending to invite her to join you as a way of signaling to her all of the hard work you're doing that you would like some credit for.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I just said. I want, you know, buy-in. And until you're out there in 90-degree heat and humidity in the summer, you don't realize.
Well, there's a lot of stuff I really do not want help with, but I will ask for help just so that it's clear, just because, especially with my husband who has ADD, and, you know, if it's not right in front of him topless, he doesn't even see it. So like, I'll say things to him like, I've decided to clean the entire kitchen top to bottom and empty out all the cabinets. Would you like to help me? It could be fun. We could listen to a murdery podcast together. And I see the trapped, haunted look that comes into his face. And I watch him back slowly toward the door and say something like, I have to relocate a yellow jacket nest. Oh, okay. And then the door closes and I'm like, yes, queen. And I crank up the murder and I get busy.
Marriage
all
is
you're
great,
doing.
isn't it?
It is. I recommend it.
It's fantastic.
In fact, I recommend it as early and often as you can squeeze it in. Straight. Coming up, we have a great comedian for you that you're going to absolutely love, Kabir Singh. Plus, is your kid being turned into a bossy McBossy pants because of Alexa? It's all coming up. It's Bob and Sheri.
Leave us a talk back with the free Bob and Sheri app.
In just a bit here, Max is going to play something that's been scientifically proven to calm your brain. And when I say calm your brain, I don't mean just fill you with warm, positive thoughts or distract you from your stress or make you forget your troubles for a minute. I mean, when you listen to this, and you need 30 seconds of it minimum, okay? When you listen to this, it actually calms down the electrical activity inside your brain, and it's been shown to help reduce the electrical activity that is problematic in epilepsy. That's how much this piece of music calms your brain. And this piece of music has been around forever and ever and ever. So if they can use this, if science can use this to help people with medication-resistant epilepsy to kind of bring their brain back down to baseline, think what it can do for you when you're just frazzled and scattered because of
Can I guess what it is before you play it?
Sure.
Is it the Four Seasons, the classical piece of music that's known frequently as the Four Seasons?
It's not that. It is classical music for sure. I mean, you knew it wasn't going to be the Captain and Tennille Love Will Keep Us Together.
No.
It's a piece of classical music, and it's a very specific piece of classical music. And when they've studied the human brain listening to this music, they see that there is not just a little bit of a decrease in that electrical activity in your brain. It's like a 66.5% decrease. So it's big. It really, really works. And Max is going to play it, and I'll run a stopwatch, and we'll give people 30 seconds of this to calm your brain down. The name of the piece of music is Sonata for Two Pianos in D Major, K448 by Mozart. You ready, Max? And that's it. That's 30 seconds. That's all you need.
Doesn't
30
sound like
seconds.
I thought it would sound. I thought it would be a little bit more ethereal. I mean, it's beautiful. Wow.
Your brain is powered by electricity. And so if the electricity in your brain is off baseline, you're going to feel that in some form or fashion. People with epilepsy obviously are at risk of seizures and other things. But this piece of music that was written in 1781, doctors have known since the 90s that there's this music impacts the human brain in really specific ways. It calms your brain down. Just 30 seconds.
So I was trying to ask, would it, beyond people that are struggling with epilepsy, do you think from what you're reading there, maybe the answer is I don't know, do you think that if you suffer from anxiety, this would be something that you could play on your phone if you're in an anxious situation or about to go into one?
That was the feeling I got. I mean, the article that I was reading about this didn't talk about that specifically, but just talked about the way that this music is literally calming your brain down.
Wow.
And in a way that has nothing to do with like your personal taste or the environment that you're listening. This arrangement of notes in this way is actually changing the electrical activity in your brain. If that isn't amazing.
Yeah,
right.
I wonder if it would, if somebody had, let's say, high blood pressure, if listening to that would calm them a little bit.
I don't know. It's working for me right now. I'm feeling better than I did a couple minutes ago already.
Well, I've got to load this on Spotify.
I'm gonna I'll post this up on our Facebook because I mean I don't know, like I can't answer all of the questions that you're asking. No. But I'm thinking that if 30 seconds of this changes the electrical activity in your brain, something's happening, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so we'll post this up on Facebook and straight ahead. Everyone needs a laugh with a great comedian for you today. It's Bob and Sheri. It's time now for Everyone Needs a Laugh. Here is Kabir Singh.
I love doing stand-up comedy. This is my favorite thing to do. All comics are, we're all broke. Not me, I'm doing okay. But most comics are broke. They're just fine. Don't you worry, buddy. But I do like being broke, though. You know, it's fun. Being rich is boring. When you're broke, every day's an adventure. I like it, right? When you're broke, every day you wake up, you're like, if anything happens, I'm done. It's like a video game. We gotta get to Thursday. Follow me. I've been there. Let's go. I checked the mail the other day. I got a bill that said final notice on it. I was like, thank God. Looks like I won't have to deal with this anymore, right? Wow. I was getting very worried. I win. It's tough to pay bills even if you have money. There are too many passwords. How are we supposed to remember this? I'm a person, not a cloud. I got the Verizon bill last week. Got to crack the Da Vinci Code to pay this. It took too long. That was going to take 2 minutes. I called them. Like, what's up, Verizon? It's me, Kabir Singh. Let's do this. They're like, what's your account number? I'm like, 4789432. Where do you live? 2000 Walnut Avenue. What's your date of birth? 12/30/84. Now what? Let's go. He's like, what's your bill pay password? I was like, you bastards. Bill pay what? I don't know what that is. This should have been the first question. Am I right? I don't know what that is. Please let me just pay this. Please. He's like, I can't. I need your bill pay password, but I have good news for you. In case you forgot, you set up a password hint. So of course I did. I'm always one step ahead of the game, homie. How dare you? What's my hint? He's like, your hint is turtles. I was like, oh no. I was like, I don't know any turtles. I've never seen a turtle, sir. Please let me just pay this so we can move on with our lives. Please! He's like, I can't. I need your bill pay password. I need to make sure it's you. I'm like, who is out there paying other people's bills? Nobody steals some dude's identity and goes up to a friend like, let's pay all the stuff off. That doesn't happen. It's the opposite. He's like, please let me just pay this. You know what my password turned out to be? It turned out to be rocket. Because turtles are slow and rockets are fast. Thank you, Jack Daniels and marijuana, for that combination. What normal person would do that?
That was Kabir Singh. I believe he got his big start on America's Got Talent. I've watched his audition.
He's great. He is great.
Isn't he amazing? You can find him at BOBANDSHERI.com. Look for more stuff from the show and click on Everyone Needs a Laugh. Do you know who else got her big break on America's Got Talent? One of the cast members on Saturday Night Live, Melissa Villaseñor.
Really?
And I watched her America's Got Talent audition not too long ago, and it was fantastic. Would you? I have it. I actually emailed it to myself. Would you like to hear that next? Let's do that.
I would, yeah.
All right, it's Bob and Sheri.
The Bob and Sheri website, the Oddcast, contest info, bobandsheri.com.
So I'm a big Saturday Night Live fan. I usually fall asleep before it gets on, but I DVR it. And one of the newer cast members is this beautiful comedian named Melissa Villaseñor. And I never really stopped to think about where did she come from. I figured she was in the Groundlings or SCTV or on the stand-up circuit. And then I'm like up in the middle of the night watching YouTube videos like a lunatic. And here comes Melissa Villaseñor's America's Got Talent audition. And that's how she got discovered. Like she went on America's Got Talent, and then Lorne Michaels hired her for Saturday Night Live. And I got goosebumps watching this because you know that I love like a Cinderella story. I love a dream coming true. I love the idea that there are people out there that want something so desperately and they're doing everything they can. And then it really happens for them. So Max found it, and just listen to this. It's just so amazing to think that this person went from working at like The Gap to Saturday Night Live. Here it is.
This is Barbara Walters, and today on my show, I have award-winning actress Natalie Portman. Natalie, I hear you're having a baby.
I am Barbara. We're thinking of naming the baby Oscar, but that's silly because that's my cat's name, so.
Hey, y'all, it's Miley Cyrus. What's up?
Okay.
What, Dad? No, I'm not going to clean my room right now. Want me to clean out your bank account? Okay, Kathy Griffin here, yeah. Okay, so here's it. Okay, so the celebrity I really hate right now is Christina Aguilera, yeah. Because she totally messed up the Star Spangled Banner. Am I right? Oh, say, can you say, oh, yeah, and the twilight that's gleaming on, hey.
Well, Melissa, I don't think that you will be working in retail much longer. And you even made him laugh.
I've got to say, I thought that was a sensational audition. I really did.
Thanks.
You showed us everything. You showed us phenomenal, right-on voices and impressions. You showed us great comedy, and you yourself are adorable to watch, and you are a star, and we all loved it. So let's go.
You know what's really, to me, surprising? Lorne Michaels does not seem like the kind of guy who would even look at anybody who won a talent show. It would be so beneath his show, Saturday Night Live. But I guess her talent is so extraordinary that he had to overlook that.
I mean, we have to let go of some of that. Talent is talent. And like, I'm so tired of that. Like Carrie Underwood doesn't deserve to be where she is. Like Jennifer Hudson doesn't deserve to be where she is. That's a ridiculous metric. Kelly Clarkson that some people have. For me, total goosebumps moment. You had a dream, you chased your dream, and then like magic, you got the phone call and now you're on Saturday Night Live.
You know, historically, this is not a new thing, discovering big-time talent, and they have this big career after they are in a competition. You can go back to the 1950s, and there are performers who were on, I think the shows were called like Talent Scouts, something like that. And big stars like, what's his name? Pat Boone, who became this big crooner, of course, during the 1950s, was in one of those competitive shows. So it's not just now. This is a thing in American show business.
And if I'm Lorne Michaels and I have to put talent on the bench at Saturday Night Live, and I look at someone like this who is funny and gifted and has so much range, like I could give a damn if it's America's Got Talent, Jiffy Lube, or Taco Bell. Wherever I found her, and I'm happy about it.
It's true.
I'll post that clip so you can watch it. Like goosebumps. It'll be on our Facebook. It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, go.
We're sending this one out there to every person, we include ourselves, that hasn't always had the best judgment in choosing who to date.
She can stop every conversation just by entering the room. She can change your night with a single look. And if you ask her what she does, she'll tell you, I'm a dancer.
Red
She's gorgeous, wealthy, a free spirit. And her ex-boyfriend was a club promoter. She knows exactly where to go, exactly what to do. And all her friends are dudes.
Red flag.
She's exquisite, but she also lived in Vegas for 11 years.
Red flag.
She's funny, but not funny like ha-ha. Funny like yikes. And her pinky nail is way long.
That's a major red flag.
Red Flag Perfume by Chanel. The only perfume that warns men.
I'm crazy.
Red Flag smells like trouble.
We'll post that on our
but
Facebook.
you know what? That may be true. That may be true. But most guys, even though they see them and it's waving like you're in front of a bull.
Why worry about a red flag when you have the capability to paint it green?
That's
Well,
exactly right. Only
As I've
you.
often said, that flag may be red now, but my sweet love going to change it. All right, let's get that posted up. And then we're going to find out if yelling at Alexa and Siri is making your kid into a little bossy tyrant. It's Bob and Sheri.
Instant access to the podcast, and fun side. Just download the free Bob and Sheri app.
I sent myself a fascinating fact that I saw on my Twitter, and I felt like you could answer this, Bob, because you're very good at geography. Okay. What is the only triple landlocked state in the United States? And here's what we mean by triple landlocked. The state doesn't touch the ocean. Its neighbor states don't touch the ocean, and their neighbor states don't touch the ocean. So it's triple landlocked. Triple, and we have listeners
Nebraska
there.
or Iowa?
Yay! No, Nebraska. That was your first.
Nebraska. Okay. Hey, that's good. I got it right off the bat. Good.
You did. I told you were good at geography. Geography is my
thank you.
weakest.
Thank you. If I could just bring my
Bob,
math scores up, my dad says.
She said that the same way my mother used to say to me when we'd watch Jeopardy, going, "You are smart." Like we thought you were kind of a dumbass, but you know.
No,
the neighbors think you're kind of dumb or slow, but gosh, that's great.
I am so bad at geography that it's the reason I don't take the Jeopardy test to try to be a Jeopardy contestant, because I'm terrified that if I made it onto Jeopardy, all of my questions would involve, it's the neighbor to Belarus and it has a radioactive lake. And I'm like, I got nothing. Like, I'm so bad at geography.
But you know what? I think you do well at Jeopardy for this reason. You're really well read. You know the things that you know all the really smart people, and you know all the pop culture stuff for those categories.
Just stay away from the geography categories. I mean, you can't completely on Jeopardy, but you know, for the most part, you could.
See, my fear is that Final Jeopardy, because I never used to watch Jeopardy. It's my husband's favorite thing, so it's on every night while we're cooking dinner. And I can get most of the questions most of the time until it's geography. Or if it's geography adjacent, like it's not really a geography question, but it involves like a state capital or President Benjamin Harrison went to high school in this bucolic state. I got nothing, right? I just, for some reason, I have like a dead spot, like a Bermuda Triangle in my brain where anything connected to geography would go. And I don't know why that is, but it is.
I'm surprised because you're very well traveled, and you've been to Europe, you've been all over Europe, as a matter of fact, several times. And it's not just Europe, but I mean, you probably have an idea that the Scandinavian countries are, directly across from Russia, right?
I mean, I have an idea. Like, I know that Finland is nowhere near Puerto Rico. But if you like really held me to where exactly Belarus is or Tanzania, I'm just bad. I don't know why.
You can't beat yourself up. You can't beat yourself up for the Belarus thing because a lot of those countries were formerly satellites of the Soviet Union and then Russia. And then they broke away. And then some of them have been, Russia's trying to bring them back in again. And there's like a half a dozen of them that didn't even exist in your parents' time. They were there, but they were just basically so controlled by Russia, you never heard anything about them. And some of them actually changed names. So you got to forgive yourself with that one.
Yeah, that one's hard. And then the other problem that I have with Jeopardy, in addition to the geography, I have no cool. Like, if I'm like really excited about something, I'm really excited about it. And I watch, like, I'll be standing there chopping a radish or whatever, and I watch how some of these Jeopardy contestants are just frantically mashing the button, but they got there too late. You have to be really cool. You can't be excitable. You've got to be chill to do well.
Can I tell you about
show.
Somebody I knew who went on Jeopardy and did pretty well? She was a radio copywriter back in the days where successful radio stations had people that did nothing but write commercials or promos. And the station that I was working in had 3 of these people. And wouldn't you know it, all 3 were bright English majors who were also women. And so if there was some downtime, she would, rather than just, call somebody and gossip or whatever, she would open up the dictionary and learn new words.
And that's how she got to be really good.
Well, it helped. It certainly helped. I mean, she was just a studious person. Those people are calm and cool because they're used to working in libraries for years, since they went to school. That's their thing.
That's how I used to study for spelling bees, was by I'd pick a section of the dictionary and just drill that section of the dictionary.
Did you?
Yeah, but it's different when you're only learning to spell the word, or if it's a Greek word or whatever, a Latin word or whatever, so that you know the trick. It's one thing to just know how to spell asperity, and it's another thing to know what the state capital is and which president was born there and all of that. And I just know that I'm not cool enough for any of that. The only show that I would have like the right temperament for is that one Most Extreme Elimination show where, you jump on bouncy balls and then you fall into a mud puddle and get smacked in the face. That, because I'm so ready, shoot, aim, that is my show.
I would put you on Jeopardy. I would also put you on, although it's the dumber cousin of it, the Wheel of Fortune. You'd solve those phrases just like that.
No, I can't. I can't solve a Wheel of Fortune puzzle.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you. I cannot solve, and I know this because my late stepfather liked Wheel of Fortune, and he and I would have a martini together, and it would be on, and he would be like, "Well, darling, that's Pandora's box," and I would be looking at the exact same puzzle and have nothing.
I think I was probably, as a kid, a Gong Show guy.
Oh, you know what? They need to bring that back. That was some quality entertainment.
You don't really have to know anything to watch.
That's my point.
It's Bob and Sheri.
You read it once.
I don't believe that.
And then you read it again.
I can't believe this.
It's Bob and Sheri's.
I don't believe this.
I cannot believe this.
If you don't have really little kids right now, here's something you may never have thought about. Your child was born into a world where they can give commands to a robot and the robot will obey them. And it might be Siri, it might be Alexa, it might be Hey Google. but your kids can talk to robots, something that you only saw on cartoons. Did you ever think about that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So the question came up for a group of parents and scientists, and it was a really basic question. It was, hey, is my kid giving orders to a robot going to make my kid a really bossy, awful person? Which is kind of a fair question, right? Like if your kid can say, Alexa, play whatever, play Baby Shark, your kid's like, an ancient king or queen snapping their fingers and giving orders. And so they decided to test it, to work with a group of children and parents in Seattle to see if kids talking to Alexa or Siri were bossier as a result of that. And here's an example of a kid having a full relationship with Alexa.
Music? I just want to know if you like Christmas or not.
Sorry, I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
Alexa, do you like snow? Do you like building snowmans?
I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
But Alexa, but are you? But Alexa, are you alone in the basement?
I wasn't able to understand the question I heard.
But Alexa, are you alone in the basement?
Finally, just before midnight, she danced with Tom.
Alexa, stop it! Alexa, I just don't want you to do things. If I say go clean up the kitchen, you will.
I don't know what scares me more with this kid.
Alexa?
The fixation on the basement or him bossing Alexa around to go clean up the kitchen.
Both of them.
Yeah, you're right about that. He's for the first part of it, he's not really asking Alexa to do anything. It's just, questions that, of course, are not answerable. So I think that's up in the air as to whether or not, that particular kid would become bossy.
So here's the interesting thing that they found. Smart speakers and interacting with robots are not making kids bossier because even really small kids understand that those are robots and they're not real people. Which is kind of fascinating when you think about it. Because I'm pretty sure as a kid, I thought that inside my grandparents' radio were teeny tiny people playing musical instruments. So clearly I wasn't like the sharpest kid. I think I might not have understood how clearly these are robots, and kids know the difference between being able to say, Alexa, go clean the kitchen, or Mommy, go clean the kitchen. Like they know instinctively that they can't do that. And what's so amazing about that is this is a new thing. Like we've never had this before. And it's not being like tested in little ways. Like we just rolled out a whole new way of living with technology and turned it over to kids. And you've heard all the funny stories about kids ordering toys on Alexa and cookies. There's even a great thing. If I can find it, I'll post it. There's a talking parrot on, I've seen the video on YouTube. The talking parrot talks to Alexa and orders stuff. So, like, that's a wild...
That makes sense, actually. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like it's like science fiction, but for real. Yeah. But here's the good news. Let your kids boss Siri and Alexa and Google around, because it turns out that kids do a really, really good job of knowing the difference between pretend and real, between robots and people. And you don't have to worry that your kid giving Alexa orders means your kid's going to be bossy. Now, if your kid is really fixated on the basement, that may be a conversation that you want to have for another day. We'll post all this up on our Facebook so you can check it out. It's Bob and Sheri.
Swag you can use. Just hit shop at bobandsheri.com.
I present to you now things that married people wish unmarried people knew. So hang on to something, and here we go. Number one from Hazy Daisy, getting married will not help solve any issues that you have in your relationship. As a matter of fact, this is just me speaking, until those issues are worked out, I would not get married. Would you agree, Sheri? If they were major issues?
Yeah, but what you just said, until those issues are worked out, don't get married. What are you talking about? What's that crazy talk?
I know, because people tend not to do that. But, in a perfect world, if the two of you sit down and you say, all right, so what are we looking at here? I don't want to buy a house for the next 5 years. I'd rather say, oh, you want it right away. Well, we don't have enough of a down, all of a sudden we got an issue that could be long-term. Financial arguing is a very big thing and a driver of divorce.
And it's not going to make any difference at all. We're all still going to get married and think that somehow it'll all work out. There'll be a happy ending.
Well, no, I have just announced it on the radio, so people need to pay attention
my
to
bad.
this and start
Okay.
and start
my
anew.
bad.
Okay,
Well,
I'm not here just to pass the time. Well, I'll just move along. Getting married doesn't mean you're never going to feel lonely again. I swear. Have you ever been in a relationship, and I mean a serious one, and you felt like you were all alone? There was a song there was a country song, I think Ray Stevens did it, and I don't think it was a really big hit, called Isn't It Lonely Together, about a couple that rushed in, I guess, to marriage. Maybe it was a shotgun marriage or whatever. And now, a few months, a few years later, they look at each other and think in the back of their minds, isn't it lonely together? Ooh, that's the absolute worst. Talk about whether you want kids before things get serious. I agree. And whoever does not want them, if that's the case, is the one who rules, because you shouldn't be talking people into it if they don't want them. It's not fair to the kids. It's your relationship. It's something that belongs to the two of you, no one else.
So you're saying that you should talk about these things ahead of time and then just act like you're with this person ahead of time. Shouldn't you just acquiesce to that person and sit with silent scorn for many years at a time, and then finally blow up one day and start spouting all this stuff, and the person goes, I had no idea? Isn't that what you should do?
And
it's an option. It's amazing. What an imagination you have, by the way.
Are you also saying that things that happen between you and your partner should not be discussed with friends, family, on your social media or on the radio show? Is that you implying that?
Not on the radio. No, the radio show gets a pass. But what they're saying is sometimes things in a relationship work out between the two of you, but somebody else might see it and say, you shouldn't be cleaning up after him all the time. But you've got a system, and for whatever reason, you're okay with it. He's okay with it. It's none of their business if you've got a working situation.
I'm finding all of this extremely confusing.
I have found that when that person says that to you, I should listen to that, but I don't. And I go, yeah, no, it's working. No, it's all working out. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. No.
Okay, here's another post that also sort of, if this is confusing, addresses this. Only the couple sets the rules of what their marriage is. Not your mother, not your friends, not her mother, not the TV or the father, just you. That applies to all relationships.
Or I let them tell me what the rules are, and then I later go, yeah, not so sure about this, but I didn't want to upset anybody,
I'm surprised, Sheri, that you would not agree with that only the couple sets the rules of the marriage.
Oh, well, that's a given. But then again, I don't really have parents, so I never had like an overbearing mother. Like, I can't even really relate to that. Because I don't have that, but I've heard it. I've seen it in other people.
Mm-hmm. Let me find another one. Talk to your partner before you make decisions. And this person says, I can't tell you how much crap I take from my single friends when I tell them, quote, I'll check with my husband. Or you could say, I'll check with my wife before agreeing to do something like, going out Saturday night together or going on a weekend. I would always check with Mary. I would always check.
We just put that into practice when my husband said maybe a big gargoyle would cheer you up, and I got a 450-pound gargoyle. That's teamwork making the dream work.
I thought maybe what you did is on the sly that you did it under the guise of it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Always a good strategy.
Yeah,
also, she's not the boss of you, Max.
There you go. Thank you.
Now let's be serious. I think, if you're agreeing, unless you know 100% that he or she is going to be in for it, I think it's always courteous to ask them first. I don't care what the single friends think. It's Bob and Sheri.
Swag you can use. Just hit shop at bobandsheri.com.
We are just a handful of days away from a movie that Bob and I have been psyched for more than a year. OMG, it's The Many Saints of Newark. It's the Sopranos sequel. And it's the origin story of Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
Prequel. It's the origin story of Tony Soprano, and the late actor James Gandolfini, who played Tony Soprano, his son Michael plays the young Tony.
And he's a ringer.
And the actor John Barenthal, who I first fell wildly for in the first season of The Walking Dead, and he's been in a million things. He's so good. John Barenthal plays Johnny Boy Soprano, Tony's father, as a young man, kind of cutting his teeth on the streets. So John Barenthal was on Seth Meyers the other night, and he said, "This is an amazing movie." But you can't go in there expecting The Sopranos. It's that universe. This isn't a Sopranos episode. Max has a little bit of John on Seth Meyers.
You first started acting. Your goal was just to be an extra in The Sopranos. And there's nothing I'm looking forward to more than The Many Saints of Newark, which is the Sopranos film that's coming out that David Chase has obviously been kind enough to give to the world. How exciting was it to get to enter that universe?
Look, a blessing, super humbling and exciting. I mean, all I wanted was just an audition to try to get on to that set. That's when I was sort of, starting out as an actor. And look, I can't tell you how honored I am to be a part of it. I think what Michael Gandolfini, does in this movie, and to sort of be a part of his journey and stepping into his father's shoes. I just feel really honored that I get to, walk alongside him. And I think he approached it with courage, and he approached it with, real dedication. And, my job there was to sort of stand by him. And I believe in this young man. And I think he's going to, I think people are going to really enjoy what he does.
I also have heard, there are certain things where even I can't get an early copy of it. I'm trying, can't get it, but I haven't heard. It's really good. Is it good?
Man, look, to be honest with you, I haven't seen it myself.
I feel better now.
What I will say is that, look, it's different. I think people that are going to go in and expecting The Sopranos, it's not that. I think that it was very smart that they said it in the past, and that's a genuine prequel. What you will see as being a real sort of Sopranos fan is I think that, David Chase has this sort of encyclopedic kind of Shakespearean knowledge of these characters. And you will see that when he was writing this show, during its heyday, he clearly understood the full history of who these characters were. And I think that's just gonna, the real super fans, I think it's just gonna be so much fun. And I think the performances, Vera did, and Corey and Alessandra, I mean, the performances are gonna be great. I know that because I saw what they were doing. But they haven't showed it to me either.
Well, thank you very much for making me feel better about myself. Congratulations and everything, and thanks so much for making the time for us.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
I've seen and Sheri's seen the previews. What's really striking are some of the scenes from Newark back in the 1970s. It's
60s,
it's
70s,
winter,
yeah.
60s and 70s. It's winter. It's harsh. It's rough. It looks like that era, and he has the facial expressions of his father.
You know what else comes through in the little bits and pieces we've seen? The actress who plays the young Livia Soprano, Tony's mother.
Oh, she's
great. My. Does she have the early evolution of that character down? Like, you get goosebumps. October 1st, Bob. We are days away.
Yeah.
We're going to. Yeah. The Many Saints of Newark. It's Bob and Sheri.
The Bob and Sheri website, the Oddcast, contest info, bobandsheri.com.
Sheri and I were just talking about The Many Saints of Newark, which is the prequel to the Sopranos saga on HBO, but it's a standalone movie. It's coming out October 1st. And, of course, he plays Tony Soprano as a young man. And I think because of this movie, you're seeing a lot of stuff about the mob floating around. Recently, I think one of the big guys in the Colombo family was just busted.
I sent you a link to an article about
Yeah.
that. Not one of
Yeah.
the big guys. The feds have taken down the entire family, apparently.
Yeah,
like
including the biggest guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I read the article quickly. And so I also saw another thing about what it is like to really grow up in a mafia family. And it's interviews with several people who are now adults who were kids and how they became aware of what was going on and their family. And one of them is Frank Matteo. Frank Di Matteo. And he said, by 10 years of age, you notice your uncles are a lot different from other people. They're whispering, and then there are people coming around, and they dress differently than other families. By 12 or 13, I knew who everybody was. By 13, I was driving, and I started learning about the life, mafia life. And then I knew exactly what was going on. So I was privy to a few things, but not a lot. Another person, it's amazing, he was a driver at 13. Karen Gravano was 10 years old when her father, Salvatore Gravano, quietly explained the ins and outs of his lifestyle. Quote, he told me some men in Italy had formed a secret group and vowed always to protect each other and their families, even if it meant stealing or hurting other people. Then he told me he was part of that same group in America. It didn't sound scary to me. It was nice to know that we were being looked after. I think this one is pretty scary. Luigi Di Sicocco grew up in Italy as the son of a mafia boss. And he talks about one night coming upon the bodies of his two uncles right after they'd been shot by rivals. That night I was so traumatized that I hoped I'd be involved in some sort of accident, that I'd be in a coma for a long time and wake up when everything was over. Of my childhood, I have only ugly memories. Vincent Gigante, also known as the Chin, worked as a mafia enforcer before taking the reins of the Genovese crime family. During the 60s, he spent most of his time in prison. His daughter Rita had no insight into her father's business until she was a teenager. I didn't understand what I had just seen or the implications of it, but I know it traumatized me when she came upon a man who was brutally murdered. She also, I believe it was this young woman, she also had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend got some weed. And this is what happened. There must have been, this is the boyfriend. There must have been 10 or 12 guys, and they pulverized me. I ended up with a broken nose, a concussion, 2 fractured ribs, and the rest of my body was bruised everywhere. My head was so swollen, I looked like the Elephant Man. She said, it was horrible, but he's still my father. What was I going to do? So, you know, that whole glamour thing of going to the Copacabana and having the Cadillacs and having the jewelry and the place in Florida and all. But, when you look at it, it's most of those people don't end up well. They end up in prison or dead, most of the guys. And, the families don't always end up with a lot of money. I can't believe that this last bust that just went on, I can't believe that they're still operating. I thought they were pretty much shut down.
They don't carry the weight that they once did.
Yeah.
They're not shut down, but they do not have their tentacles in as many different kinds of businesses as they used to.
Right. Like the record business, like the nightclub business, like the vending machine business, like the pizza box business.
I just listened to a podcast that talked about this guy that was involved with criminal activity in Atlanta. Do you remember the song Chevy Van by Sammy Johns?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That guy that was the mobster in Atlanta, he was a mobster of sorts. I mean, he certainly operated like a gangster. That was his record company that had that song. That was crazy.
Yeah, they were big time. I mean, in The Sopranos, there's Hesh. And basically, he's a record guy that screwed African-American composers out of their money, So they've always been in show business. They've always been around show business. Back in the 50s and 60s, they controlled almost every nightclub in a major city in the country. So
yeah, I mean,
anyway,
Max is right. They're not what they were,
right.
but as long as there are human beings, there will be crime. There will be rackets. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Straight ahead, Max is going to crank open the Bob and Sheri vault, pull out something amazing. It's next. It's Bob and Sheri.
Now, let's open up the Bob and Sheri Archive Vault.
As a child, Halloween was very important to the young Lamar because it meant a free bag of candy.
It is so true. It is so true. That was way before anybody ever heard about an all-you-can-eat buffet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
That was the deal. But my story's not so much about a Halloween disaster as a Halloween ordeal, because I lived out in the country, and so there's like miles between each house. And each house, the driveway is 3/4 of a mile long. And so by the time you get to the house and drive down the driveway, you got to get down there to see if anybody's home, because there's a good chance they're out trick-or-treating too. So, you know, a lot of times you'd come up empty because there wouldn't be anybody there. And the big deal was, my mom would always say before we left the house, make sure you go to the bathroom, because you know we're going to be gone for a long time. We can't get that costume off and on, so you do what you got to do before we get in the car. And because, you know, it was like we had to pack a lunch. We had to stop and take a break. I mean, it was a whole, you know, you'd hit 8 houses, take you 3.5 hours to do it. And you know,
that's so sad. Why did they your parents not thank your mother? I know your father wasn't involved.
Drive you on into town?
Drive you into town, into a neighborhood or something?
Into town? Town's 15 miles away, man. We did that one time.
Yeah.
One time. You go to town, those people are getting 300 trick-or-treaters. They giving you a little bitty Tootsie Roll. You get out in the country, you find somebody home, you're getting full-size Baby Ruths, 5 and 6 at a time. I mean, they're only going to see 3 trick-or-treaters, so they load you up.
You know, Lamar, if you spend as much time analyzing like your arithmetic homework as you did how to get the right amount of candy.
I'd be a rocket scientist. But we would always go, the house that I hated the most, her name was Julia Mann. And this was the woman that always left her phone off the hook, and it messed up the party line. And it was just, she was a bad seed.
For people, wait a minute, explanation necessary.
You're going to have to explain the whole party line thing.
In the country in Georgia, please tell the people who have been born in the last, 30 years, what a party line is.
Well, but way before cell phones, way before anything else, you didn't have your individual, you had your own phone number, but they didn't have an individual line for each house. So 12 to 15 houses out in the country would share one phone line. And so when you got ready to use the phone, you would pick it up, and if somebody was talking, you'd have to hang it back up and wait for them to get off. And later on, you got your own special ring so that your ring would sound different, so you'd know to answer your phone. But before then, phone would ring, you'd pick it up, and you'd say hello, and they'd say, is this so-and-so? Well, 3 people's done picked up. And finally, it's for somebody, and so everybody else would hang up. It's that kind of deal.
There are kids listening. There are kids listening right now going, that never happened.
They think you're lying.
This man is a crazy man. That is wild.
And if one person would leave the phone off the hook, nobody could make a phone call. So then we'd have to get out in the car and ride to everybody's house and say, hey, is your phone off the hook? Well, everybody'd say, no, it's not off the hook. But when you got back home, somebody put it back on. They just wouldn't admit it.
So this lady, Julia Mann, she was jacking up the party line by leaving her phone off the hook. What was wrong with her at Halloween?
She was a pain. But at Halloween, you would go up, and she would, and you got your costume, you spent all this money on that mask and everything, and she would not give you a piece of candy until you pulled your mask up and showed who you was.
Oh, because she wanted to show favoritism, I bet.
I don't know what to do. She said, who are you? Well, I ain't telling. Well, let me see your face. If you want to say, let me see your face, they'll give you no candy. Well, I wanted to stand on principle. But listen, a Baby Ruth's a Baby Ruth. You know what I'm saying?
That mask came off,
Yeah, I had to but they always ticked me off that she made me do that. I didn't like her at all.
Well, she just wanted to see, the neighbor kids. She was keeping up with them. And she wanted to make sure you didn't come back.
She was holding grudges, see? Because if she had an issue with your mom, you got you a tiny box of raisins.
Boy, that is the truth. And, you know, you go uptown, some fools is giving you toothbrushes. Who wants a toothbrush? I don't want no toothbrush. I want something to eat. I mean, that's crazy.
Hey, this year I'm giving out frozen turkey burgers because I heard on the Trader Joe's commercial that that's what kids want. They're organic, though, so yay, you kids. People's Movie Critic,
Thanks,
thank you
Lamar.
for calling.
You can hear more from the Bob and Sheri archives at bobandsheri.com.
Instant access to the podcast, and fun side. Just download the free Bob and Sheri app.
And now on the Bob and Sheri Show, it's another exciting episode of Things Bob Didn't Know.
Yes, indeed. It has been a hot summer. When we look back, I don't care where you were in the United States, 2021 was a hot summer. People in Maine were complaining it's not like the old days. And of course, the fires in the West, the heat and humidity in the South. I mean, it's been a bear. So I was reading about that, and I saw a little side article that I didn't know about air conditioning systems. In 1914, the first residential air conditioners were introduced. That's a long time ago. Goodness, I didn't know it was that long ago. How much do you think the first air conditioners cost? And there's quite a range between small ones and large ones. But just take a guess, somewhere in between what were the first residential air conditioners.
And am I guessing in today's dollars? Because I know like back then $4 was equal to 800. So am I guessing in today money?
I have the old dollars, but I also have the new dollars. Go with the new dollars, what they would cost today.
Okay, the very first
air conditioner
that would go in a window, right?
Well, one could go in a window. Another one might cool like an entire house.
Let me apologize.
Or an office.
I am doing to you what you always do to me, and I hate myself right now. I did not submit my questions in writing, and I'm nitpicking. Next, I'm going to want to know. Next, I'm going to know what the sales tax was on it. So let me go with $700
in today money.
In today's money.
Is that what you're saying? In today's,
I'm saying in today's money.
In today's money, I'm saying $5,000.
Okay. Do you want to take that the $700 back?
I feel like I'm on The Price is Right. Okay, let me take that back. I'm going to go with $22,000.
The first air conditioners in 1914 cost between $120,000 and $600,000.
Wow.
And I can hear everyone's dad saying, "You kids are just going to have to sweat."
Yeah, that's right. By the 1960s, they were as low as $416 for a small one.
Wow.
Since then, when you think of what the people in Louisiana and Texas went through this summer, when the hurricanes came through, since then, heat-related deaths in the United States have declined by 80%. That's what air conditioning has done. That is how much Americans have gotten used to it. As a kid growing up, I don't know about you guys, we didn't have it. Now, we were living in Connecticut, and we didn't have the global warming thing that we're dealing with now. But nonetheless, I can remember being in the teeny-weeny room that my brother and I shared in North Haven, Connecticut. And, I mean, it was small. I can remember the windows being open. There was one window in the room, and it was wide open all night long. And I can remember just sitting there and sweating. And yet, it never occurred to me to go to my father and say, I've seen these things in people's windows, these air conditioner things. Could we get one? That never even occurred to me. You just sweated it out. And yes, it's up north, but still there were weeks and weeks and weeks of humidity and heat. Today, I would be such a baby about that.
Obviously we didn't have AC in Wyoming. But we also didn't have heat. We heated our little house with a wood burning fireplace. And if George, that's my late father, if George didn't feel like chopping wood, which was a lot of the time, you were just cold. I mean, we had like little space heaters. My grandparents had window units, but like central air conditioning was not really a thing until like I was out living on my own and renting apartments.
My first house had two window air conditioners. It was 2-story. I mean, it was a real old house, but it had two air conditioners like that. The idea, when I bought my first house, The idea that I would put in central air conditioning was just absolutely ridiculous. I was not making anywhere near enough money to pay for that, even monthly.
You are right that we're so used to it. Like when the power goes out, in our house, here's what happens when the power goes out. My husband's like, how am I going to watch the game? My daughter's like, where's the Wi-Fi? And I'm over there going, I will die now of the heat humidity. Like, you can tell what everybody's priorities are, right?
But you have a generator. Is that not right?
On this house, we do, because when we moved into this neighborhood, one of the people that already lived here, because some of my neighbors are really friendly, and this one guy came up to me and said, welcome to the neighborhood. Now, do y'all have a generator? And I said, no, I've never had a generator. And he said, well, you need to get you a generator because this neighborhood loses power all the time. And we laughed. This neighborhood loses power all the time. So we have a generator. And you know what? There are a lot of days where I would not be on the Bob and Sheri show if it wasn't for the generator. I can't
because
tell
you have a lot of trees, I'm going to guess. And the trees during storms, branches get knocked down and take it out. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many days during like certain weather seasons coming to you guys via generator. So yeah,
you know that guy. You know that guy who came over to welcome you and tell you that. Once he told you that, he was so happy with himself.
Oh, he was so
just
pleased.
so pleased.
And you know what? And you know who else was happy? His wife, because he left the house for 20 minutes and talked about generators to somebody that wasn't her.
Yeah, that's right.
And I kid you not, that woman came over with a lemon pound cake, and I know why. It's Bob and Sheri. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Bob and Sheri podcast and the Bob and Sheri Oddcast. We would love if you would subscribe, rate and review, and share it with a friend on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you go. And thank you again for listening.